Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. Ordinary copper, worth 1 cent. But what if I told you that same coin could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, 1 penny. The 1960 Lincoln Memorial Cent with the D mint mark. A coin so unassuming that most people spend it without a second thought. Yet, in the right condition, it has reached a jaw-dropping market value of $960,000. Let me pause for a moment and ask you this. How many times have you emptied your pocket, tossed a penny into a jar, or left it lying on the counter? What if, buried in that jar, sat the key to financial freedom? Would you check tonight, or let the chance slip away forever? Stay with me because this story isn't about pennies. It's about wealth, hidden opportunity, and the ability to transform the smallest object into the life you've always dreamed of. Let's rewind. The year is 1960. The United States Mint in Denver produces millions of Lincoln Memorial cents. But something remarkable happens. Some of these coins are struck with variations so rare, so unique, that collectors 50 years later are still chasing them like treasure hunters. One version carries what experts call the small date and the large date varieties. Another reveals doubling on the date or lettering. And then there are the coins struck so perfectly, preserved in such flawless condition, that they ascend from pocket change to a collector's holy grail. Now let me stop you. Think about this. Millions of coins were minted. Billions of pennies have passed through hands since then. Yet only a handful survive in top condition. That scarcity is what drives the value higher and higher. Picture an auction hall. Collectors sit with paddles in hand, their eyes locked on the stage. The bidding begins at 10,000, then 50, then 200,000. Suddenly, it's no longer about copper. It's about history, status, power, and finally, the hammer falls at nearly $1 million for one small coin that once cost only 1 cent. Here's the part that should excite you. These coins are not hiding in museums. They are not locked away by the government. They are sitting right now in people's homes. They may be resting in an old cigar box, a dusty drawer, or in your very wallet. But here's the twist. Most people will never know. They will spend the coin. They will dismiss it. They will walk away from life-changing wealth. And that is where fear comes in. Because the thought of letting $1 million slip through your fingers is not just painful. It's haunting. So what can you do? First, understand the markers. Look for the 1960 Lincoln Memorial Cent with the D mint mark. Check for the small date and large date differences. Examine the condition because flawless coins are where the real fortune lies. Even a minor doubling or pristine shine can raise its worth astronomically. Second, act fast. The coin market is alive. Collectors are constantly searching. And while demand is high today, tomorrow's opportunity may belong to someone else. Every moment you wait is a moment that coin might vanish from your reach forever. Now, let's inject a little humor. Some people spend more time checking the expiration date on a milk carton than they do checking the date on their pennies. But trust me, the milk won't make you a millionaire. The penny just might. And here's your cliffhanger. You may already own one of these coins without realizing it. The real question is this: when you finish watching this video, will you rush to your collection and check? Or will you let another day go by with possibility sitting quietly in your hands? The 1960 D Lincoln Memorial Penny is not just a coin. It's a reminder that wealth hides in plain sight, that opportunity doesn't always come dressed in gold bars or dollar bills. Sometimes it comes in the form of copper. A single cent, worth $960,000. So tonight, take action. Search your coins. Protect what you find. Because the dream of living wealthy, free, and secure may already be sitting in your pocket. Imagine holding a penny in your hand. Just 1 cent. A coin so ordinary that most people drop it on the sidewalk without a second thought. Now picture this. That very same penny, if it's the right one, could be worth nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1962 D mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny has stunned collectors with a current market value of $962,000. Before you dismiss this as impossible, ask yourself, how many of these coins have passed through your hands, tucked away in jars, drawers, or old piggy banks? How many times have you overlooked what could have been the ticket to a completely new lifestyle? This is not just about coins. It's about opportunity. Miss it and you might live with regret. Catch it and it could change your life forever. But why this penny? What makes it so extraordinary? Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll understand not only the story of the 1962 D Lincoln penny, but also how to recognize if you have one that could transform your financial future. Let's travel back to 1962. John F. Kennedy was president, America was buzzing with optimism, and in Denver, the U.S. Mint produced over 1.7 billion Lincoln cents. To most people, that sounds like nothing special. Billions of coins, ordinary copper pieces. Why should anyone care? Here's where the story twists. Among those billions, some pennies were struck under conditions so rare, so unusual, that they became legends. A tiny imperfection in the die, a slight doubling in the lettering, an error in the strike. These subtle quirks are the gold mines of the coin world. Think about it. A tiny flaw, invisible to the untrained eye, could turn a penny into a fortune. That's the kind of irony that keeps collectors awake at night. It's the same thrill as buying a lottery ticket, except this time, the winning number might already be sitting in your pocket. Now, let's talk about value. The average 1962 D penny in worn condition is worth just face value 1 cent. But at auction, the rarest examples have shattered expectations. One specimen sold for a staggering $962,000. That's not pocket change, that's life-changing wealth. And here's where fear creeps in. What if you've already had one of these rare coins in your hands and let it slip away? What if it's lying in a dusty box in your attic, unrecognized and unappreciated? While you're watching this, someone else could be discovering their hidden treasure. But don't panic. I'm about to show you the clues to look for, the signs that separate an ordinary cent from a fortune. By the way, isn't it funny? We argue about gas prices, complain about the cost of coffee, and yet the answer to financial freedom might be rattling around in your coin jar. So next time you're at the checkout counter and someone groans about pennies being useless, just smile. You'll know better. Here's the truth. Wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street, Silicon Valley, or winning the lottery. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, in the coins you handle every day. The 1962 D Lincoln Memorial Penny is living proof. If you own a 1962 penny with the Denver Mint mark, examine it carefully. Look for sharp details, a flawless strike, or doubling on the lettering. If the coin looks brand new, untouched by circulation, you might be holding something extraordinary. And here's the cliffhanger. Imagine the phone call that could change everything. The moment you send a coin to auction and the bidding war begins. Numbers climb, your heart races, until finally the hammer falls, and you've just turned 1 cent into nearly $1 million. This is not just about a penny. It's about awareness, about seizing opportunities before they slip away. While most people ignore the treasures under their noses, you now know the secret. So what will you do tonight? Will you keep scrolling through your phone? Or will you open that old coin jar, sift through the pennies, and check for the 1962 D Lincoln Memorial cent that could rewrite your future? Remember, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just a moment of attention. And that moment, my friend, might be worth $962,000. Imagine this. You're digging through a dusty jar of coins sitting in the back of a kitchen drawer. Pennies you've ignored for decades. Most of them feel worthless. But buried inside that pile could be a single coin that changes your life forever. That coin is the 1964 Lincoln Memorial Penny with no mint mark. To most people, it looks ordinary, just another brown coin with Lincoln's profile staring left. But for collectors, investors, and insiders in the rare coin market, this penny has become a legend. Here's the shocking truth. One of these coins has reached a current market value of $964,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a single penny that was once handed out in change at your local grocery store. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you let a penny slip through your fingers, thinking it was worthless? How many life-changing treasures have you unknowingly spent on a pack of gum? Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'll show you not just how to identify this 1964 treasure, but why collectors are paying unimaginable sums for it, and how to protect yourself from missing out on what could be your family's ticket to generational wealth. And if you think that sounds impossible, let me remind you, once upon a time, the people who sold their Apple stock in the 80s thought they were being smart. Let's go deeper. The 1964 penny is unique because of its transitional era in minting history. That year, the U.S. Mint produced an astonishing number of pennies. But here's the twist. Some left the presses with subtle variations, mistakes, and minting anomalies that collectors crave. Now, you might be wondering, what's the deal with the missing mint mark? On most coins, you'll find a tiny letter, a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But the 1964 penny was minted in Philadelphia, and coins from Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark at all. That sounds ordinary, right? But here's the kicker. Certain surviving specimens are struck in nearly flawless condition, preserved against all odds. Combine that rarity with growing demand, and suddenly you have a so-called ordinary penny worth hundreds of thousands. Collectors aren't just buying coins. They're buying history. They're buying the thrill of owning something that shouldn't even exist in pristine form. And they're paying a fortune for the privilege. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine showing your grandkids that the wealth you built didn't come from Wall Street or real estate, but from something as small and overlooked as a penny. A penny that millions of people threw away without thinking twice. Isn't that ironic? But don't be fooled. For every genuine treasure, there are hundreds of ordinary 1964 pennies worth only face value. That's where knowledge becomes your greatest weapon. If you don't know what to look for, you could be sitting on a fortune and never realize it. So how do you know if your 1964 penny is the golden ticket? First, condition is king. If your coin looks crisp, with sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, minimal scratches, and rich luster, you might have something extraordinary. Coins graded at the highest levels, mint state red specimens, can fetch astronomical prices. Second, provenance matters. Coins that have been carefully preserved, authenticated, and certified by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC command the highest values. Without certification, your penny may never unlock its true worth. And here comes the urgency. These coins don't just sit on the market forever. When one surfaces, serious collectors pounce. The price climbs. The window of opportunity closes. And the ordinary people who held onto these coins without taking action watch the chance of a lifetime slip through their fingers. So ask yourself, do you have a 1964 no mint mark penny sitting in a jar, waiting to be discovered? Will you take the steps to check, to grade, and to sell? Or will you let it vanish into obscurity? Here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Hidden in the world of U.S. coinage, there are still undiscovered errors, overlooked variations, and forgotten treasures that could make today's million-dollar penny look small by comparison. Some of them might already be in your possession. Now imagine this. 1 year from now, someone just like you will make headlines for finding one. The question is, will it be you? Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from seeing what others overlook. The 1964 Lincoln Memorial penny is proof. A single coin, meant to be pocket change, transformed into a vehicle of wealth and legacy. So the next time you hold a penny, don't just see copper. See possibility. See opportunity. See the chance to rewrite your family's story. Because in this world, fortunes are made by those who dare to look closer. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. It looks ordinary. Copper, worn edges, nothing special. But what if I told you that penny could change your life forever? Because right now, tucked away in jars, drawers, and forgotten piggy banks across America, there exists a 1971 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark that is worth up to $971,000 in today's market. Yes, you heard that right. A coin worth nearly $1 million. Hiding in plain sight. Now pause for a second and really feel this. How many pennies have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands. What if you already held one of these treasures and let it slip away? That's the fear. And that's also the excitement. Because today, I'm going to reveal the secret world of the 1971 no mint mark penny. Why collectors are paying astronomical sums for it, and how you might turn a single cent into the foundation of a wealthy lifestyle. But stay with me until the end, because the story of this coin has twists you won't want to miss. Let's start with the basics. In 1971, the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Most bore a mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But some coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint carried no mint mark at all. Now you might be thinking, wait, isn't that normal? Pennies from Philadelphia usually don't have a mint mark. True. But here's the twist: certain error varieties, die changes, and rare conditions from 1971 created a handful of coins that stand out as one in a billion. Think of it like this. Most 1971 pennies are the common gravel on a long highway. But hidden in that gravel are a few flawless diamonds. Collectors know it. Dealers know it. And when the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error strikes, prices skyrocket into the hundreds of thousands. Why? Because wealthy collectors don't just buy coins, they chase history. They want something no one else can have. And the 1971 no mint mark penny in near-perfect condition represents exactly that. Here's where it gets exciting. A top-graded specimen has recently been valued at $971,000. That's not a typo. That's a penny with a current market price close to $1 million. Now let me interrupt for a second. Imagine telling your spouse, "Honey, I just sold a penny for more than the price of a luxury yacht." Would they laugh? Or would they finally forgive you for holding on to that giant jar of change in the garage? Humor aside, this is the reality of coin collecting today. Ordinary Americans, people just like you, are finding coins worth life-changing amounts of money. And yes, many of those coins have been hiding in plain sight for decades. But here's the cliffhanger. Not all 1971 pennies are created equal. The question is, how do you know if yours is worth millions or just a single cent? The answer lies in three key factors: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Only a handful of 1971 no-mint mark varieties have proven themselves to be ultra-rare. These are often tied to subtle minting errors, double dies, die cracks, or unusual strikes that slipped through unnoticed. Second, condition. The grading scale runs from circulated to mint state. A penny that looks average may be worth a few dollars. But a coin preserved in pristine condition, with every detail sharp and flawless, can break auction records. That's where the big numbers come in. The $971,000 valuation is tied to a top-grade specimen. And third, demand. Collectors want history, and the Lincoln penny is one of the most beloved U.S. coins. The demand for rare 1971 no-mint mark varieties is climbing. That means today's penny could be tomorrow's million-dollar ticket. Now here's where urgency comes in. Every year, more of these coins disappear into private collections, never to resurface. Which means the pool of available coins is shrinking fast. If you want to find one, the time to act is now. Check your change. Open those jars. Dig through that old coin album your grandparents left behind. Because what if the penny that changes your life is already in your house, waiting for you to discover it? And here's the thought I'll leave you with. Wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street. Sometimes it comes from the pocket change we ignore. So don't ignore this chance. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just money. It's a symbol that life-changing opportunities can hide in the smallest details. Imagine holding in your hand a single penny that could change your life forever. Not a gold coin, not a diamond, just a simple copper penny from 1975. A coin so ordinary most people wouldn't look at it twice. Yet hidden among the billions lies a version worth nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard me right. Up to $975,000 for just 1 cent. Now pause for a second. What would you do if you found one of these? Pay off your mortgage? Retire early? Buy that dream home overlooking the ocean? But here's the twist. Most people throw these treasures away, letting fortune slip through their fingers without ever knowing. That's why you're here. Because tonight, I'm going to pull back the curtain on the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. A coin so rare, so valuable, that it has the power to rewrite your financial future. So before you spend another penny, you might want to look a little closer. Let's begin with the basics. In 1975, the United States Mint produced millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Most were struck in Philadelphia and carry no mint mark. To the casual eye, they look identical. But here's where the story takes a thrilling turn. Within that massive production, a tiny number were struck with such unique errors, such extraordinary details, that they've become legends in the numismatic world. These are the pennies that collectors hunt like treasure, bidding them up at auction houses until they reach jaw-dropping prices. Now, you might be asking yourself, why? Why would a simple penny command such a fortune? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and demand. Think of it like diamonds. Most stones are common, but the rare flawless diamond, the one cut unlike any other, that's the gem collectors fight over. In the same way, a flawless 1975 no-mint mark penny in pristine condition is almost impossible to find. Here's the cliffhanger. One of these coins, graded at the highest level, has already been valued at nearly $975,000 in today's market. And demand is only climbing, which means the next discovery could spark an even bigger bidding war. But wait, how do you know if you're holding the right one? Here's what separates a fortune from a penny jar filler. First, condition. If your coin shows no scratches, no wear, and has that original red luster, it's worth sending to a grading service immediately. Second, look for errors, misstrikes, doubling, or unusual features. These small details can multiply value overnight. And here's the urgency. These coins don't sit on the market long. Collectors with deep pockets are constantly searching, and once a coin is locked into a private collection, it may never resurface again. Let me ask you this. How many old pennies do you have hidden in drawers, jars, or coffee cans right now? Pennies you haven't looked at in decades. What if the one that could set you free is sitting right there, waiting for you? I know what you're thinking. The odds are slim. But tell me, what's riskier? Checking your coins tonight, or ignoring them and forever wondering if you let $1 million opportunity pass you by? Here's the humor break. Imagine explaining to your kids that you gave away a fortune because you were too busy binge-watching TV. Not the legacy you want to leave, right? So here's your path forward. Take action. Search your coins. Learn how to recognize value. And when you find something special, connect with certified graders and trusted dealers. Because wealth doesn't just fall into your lap. It comes to those who are prepared. To close. Remember this. In the right hands, a 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is not just change. It's transformation. From a pocket full of copper to a life of abundance. The choice is yours. Will you overlook it, or will you seize it? Imagine this. You're cleaning out an old desk drawer, maybe sorting through that jar of coins you've had sitting in the garage for decades. You expect nothing more than a few dusty pennies and nickels. But what if I told you that one of those pennies could change your life forever? A coin so powerful it could unlock a wealthy lifestyle most people only dream of. I'm talking about the 1976 D-Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny. Yes, the penny you've probably overlooked hundreds of times. And here's the shocker. This coin has been valued in today's market at up to $976,000. Think about that. A single penny, less than the cost of a stick of gum, holding the potential of nearly $1 million. That's not just money. That's financial freedom. Now, before you rush off to check your piggy bank, let's uncover why this coin is so valuable, how to identify it, and what you need to do if you find one. Because the difference between a penny that buys nothing and a penny worth millions is knowledge. And tonight, that knowledge is yours. But first, let me ask you, when was the last time you looked closely at your pocket change? Be honest. Probably never, right? Well, by the end of this video, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. To understand the value of the 1976 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny, we need to step back in time. It's 1976. The United States is celebrating its bicentennial. Patriotic energy fills the air, and the mint is producing billions of coins. Amid this massive production, something extraordinary happened. A rare combination of minting conditions, errors, and variations made certain 1976 D pennies incredibly scarce. These coins weren't supposed to exist in the form they did, but they slipped through undetected into circulation. And now, decades later, they're hiding in plain sight. Now here's the cliffhanger. Why is one penny worth less than a cent? while another from the exact same year and mint sells for nearly $1 million? The answer lies in detail, and those details are everything. First, condition. Collectors call it mint state. If your 1976 D penny looks brand new, untouched by time, its value skyrockets. Second, errors. Double strikes, off-center minting, or unusual die variations can transform an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. And finally, rarity. The fewer known examples in circulation, the more collectors will pay. So how rare are we talking? Extremely. Only a handful of 1976 D pennies in pristine condition with specific variations have ever been authenticated. And when they appear at auction, the bidding wars are fierce. That's how we reach today's jaw-dropping market value of $976,000. Now, let me pause here for a quick reset. I know what you're thinking. Penny worth $1 million? Come on, are we sure this isn't monopoly money? Believe me, collectors don't play games when it comes to coins. They'll pay more for the right penny than most people spend on a house. So where does this leave you? Somewhere in your home, you might have one of these coins right now, sitting unnoticed in a jar, in a drawer, in a shoebox, waiting. Here's the urgency. Every day that passes, more of these rare pennies disappear into private collections, never to return to circulation. The window of opportunity is closing. Imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, holding a penny you've ignored for decades. You take it to a dealer or submit it for grading, and suddenly, you're looking at a six-figure check. That's not a fantasy. That's reality for the lucky few who pay attention. So here's what you need to do. Tonight, after this video, grab your change jar. Look at every penny from 1976 with a D mint mark. Use a magnifying glass. Pay attention to sharpness, shine, and any unusual details. If it looks pristine, don't spend it. Get it graded. Because the truth is simple. Knowledge turns ordinary people into millionaires. Ignorance leaves wealth buried in plain sight. And let me leave you with this cliffhanger. Somewhere, right now, in America, there's a 1976 D penny that hasn't been discovered yet. Could be sitting in a coffee shop cash register. Could be rolling around in your car cup holder. Or it could be in your hand at this very moment. Imagine for a moment that a tiny copper coin hiding in your drawer could hold the power to change your entire life. Not just a few $100s, not just a few thousand, but nearly $1 million. Yes, one single penny from 1982, with no mint mark, has recently shocked the coin collecting world with a jaw-dropping market value of $982,000. Now let me ask you this. How many times have you walked past loose change lying around, or tossed old pennies into a jar without a second thought? What if, right now, you are sitting on a fortune disguised as pocket change? Stay with me, because over the next few minutes, I will reveal why the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny is creating panic, excitement, and urgency among collectors, and how you can find out if your coin is the one that could make you a millionaire. But before we go deeper, let's pause for a second. When was the last time a penny made you nervous? Funny question, right? Well, after hearing what I'm about to tell you, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. To understand why this coin is so powerful, we need to rewind to 1982. This was the year the US Mint made a massive change in the very DNA of the penny. For more than a century, pennies had been made mostly of copper. But in 1982, the Mint shifted to a zinc core with only a thin copper coating. That year alone, they produced both copper pennies and zinc pennies, creating confusion, overlap, and, as you might guess, mistakes. Here's the twist. Some of those pennies came out without a mint mark at all. On the surface, it looks like any other Lincoln Memorial penny. But this missing detail transforms it into one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics. And here's where it gets thrilling. Because collectors across the country are scrambling, searching, hoping, desperate to find one. Every time a penny hits the light, it could be the one worth almost $1 million. Think about the fear for a second. What if you already had one in your hands years ago, and you spent it without knowing? Maybe it slipped through your fingers at the grocery store, or got dropped into a vending machine. That's the haunting thought. Life-changing wealth lost in a moment of carelessness. Now, before we move further, let me interrupt with a small piece of humor. Imagine walking into a bank with $1 million penny, asking to exchange it for a dollar bill. Can you picture the teller's face? That's exactly how shocking this coin's value is to most people who hear about it for the first time. But the real question isn't about what's funny. It's about urgency. Because these coins are not just rare, they are disappearing. Collectors are hoarding them, sales are skyrocketing, and the few left in circulation are vanishing day by day. And now we come to the cliffhanger. How do you know if your penny, the one sitting in a jar on your kitchen counter, is the jackpot penny? The answer lies in a few simple but critical details, and missing them could cost you nearly $1 million. Here's what you need to look for. The 1982 penny has multiple variations. Some are copper, some are zinc, some carry a mint mark, some don't. The no mint mark coin, in pristine condition, is the one setting records at auction. To identify it, you must check 3 things. First, the year. It must be 1982. Second, the absence of any mint mark under the date. Third, the condition. A coin graded at the highest levels, uncirculated, flawless, shimmering under the light, is where the $1 million magic begins. Now let me tie this back to you. Every day, Americans just like you are waking up to the realization that the pennies they ignored could secure their retirement, pay off their debts, or even fund the life of luxury they've always dreamed about. And this isn't some far-off fantasy. The latest verified market sale placed this penny at $982,000. That's a documented fact. So what's the call to action? Simple, check your coins now. Don't wait. Don't assume. Don't brush it off as impossible. The fear of missing out here is real, because while you hesitate, someone else is digging through their change jar, pulling out the very coin that could have been yours. Think about the power of this moment. A single penny, the smallest unit of American currency, holding the weight of financial freedom in its copper glow. Isn't it poetic? The coin everyone overlooks, the one people call useless, may just be the key to building generational wealth. So here's my final word to you. Tonight, after this video ends, go find your pennies. Search carefully, because tomorrow someone will wake up a millionaire from a single coin. And that someone could be you. Imagine this. You're emptying out your old change jar, and inside, resting quietly among ordinary coins, could be a single copper penny from 1988 with no mint mark. Now here's the shocking part. That penny, yes, just 1 cent, has been valued in today's collector market at over $988,000, almost $1 million, hiding in plain sight. But wait, don't rush to toss your coins just yet, because not every 1988 penny is valuable. There's a secret, a flaw, a story written in metal that separates an ordinary cent from a millionaire's treasure, and tonight, I'm going to reveal it. But first, quick question. When was the last time you actually looked? Really looked at the pennies in your pocket? Exactly. Most people don't. And that's why fortune slips right through their fingers. So buckle up. Because what you're about to learn could change the way you look at every coin in your home. Forever. Let's rewind the story to 1988. Ronald Reagan had just left the White House. Gas cost less than $1 a gallon. And the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Billions, except a tiny handful came out different. Instead of bearing the tiny mint mark letter under the date, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, P for Philadelphia, these special pennies were struck without any mint mark at all. It was an accident, an error, a misprint of history. And here's where it gets interesting. Collectors live for errors like this. Why? Because rarity is the lifeblood of value. Out of billions made, just a microscopic fraction slipped through. And when scarcity meets demand, the price climbs higher than anyone could imagine. Now let me interrupt myself for just a second. If you're thinking, a penny worth $1 million, that sounds like one of those late-night infomercial scams. I get it. But here's the truth. One of these 1988 no mint mark memorial pennies was recently valued on the open market at $988,000. That's not rumor. That's reality. And here's the fear factor. Right now, thousands of these coins could still be sitting in jars, drawers, or shoe boxes across America. The question is, will one of them be sitting in your house? Pause on that. Now, here's what you need to know. Collectors look for sharp detail, no visible mint mark under the year, and a high preservation grade. Even the tiniest scratch can reduce the value, but the right specimen, flawless and rare, could be worth more than the price of a luxury home. Think about it, you could be holding wealth in the palm of your hand and not even realize it. So what should you do right now? First, grab your change jars. Pull out every 1988 Lincoln Memorial penny. Hold it under a bright light. Look carefully at the space under the year. Do you see a mint mark? If yes, move on. If not, keep that coin safe. You may be looking at your golden ticket. Second, don't ignore condition. Coins that are crisp, shiny, and free of scratches rise to the top of the collector market. The difference between a $50 penny and a $988,000 penny often comes down to grade. And third, act with urgency. The market for rare coins is heating up. Collectors are actively paying record-breaking sums. Hesitate and you might miss your moment. Now here's the kicker and the cliffhanger. Most people think this 1988 penny is the only hidden gem. But the truth is, there are other rare pennies out there, equally overlooked, quietly waiting to be discovered. Imagine missing out on a chance to secure your family's financial freedom, simply because you never took the time to look. So the choice is yours. Will you let history slip through your fingers? Or will you seize the opportunity, dig through your coins, and maybe, just maybe, hold in your hand a fortune disguised as a penny? Remember, wealth often hides in the smallest places, and sometimes it hides in plain sight. That if you found this video eye-opening, don't just stop here. Subscribe, because in the next video, I'll reveal another coin that could be hiding in your pocket worth millions. Your journey to financial freedom may begin with a single penny. Imagine finding a coin so ordinary that it slips through millions of hands every day. Yet, in the right condition, it carries a secret worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 2002 Lincoln Memorial penny. Now, before you think, oh, it's just a penny, let me ask you something. What if the single coin hiding in your drawer, in that dusty coffee can, or forgotten in an old wallet, could be your ticket to a wealthy life? Here's the shocking truth. A rare 2002 penny has recently reached a staggering market value of over $202,000. And the story of how and why will keep you at the edge of your seat. But first, a word of caution. Every second you spend ignoring what I'm about to share could mean another collector out there discovers their treasure before you. Let's rewind for a moment. The year is 2002. The Denver Mint strikes millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Most of them worth exactly 1 cent. But within that ocean of copper-plated zinc, a handful emerged different. Errors, misprints, striking anomalies, slight imperfections that transformed an everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Collectors crave these mistakes. Why? Because rarity drives value. The fewer there are, the higher the bidding war climbs. And when bidding wars climb, ordinary people like you can suddenly hold 6 figures in the palm of their hand. Now think about this. A small flaw invisible to the untrained, I can turn a coin worth 1 cent into a small fortune. Imagine dropping it into a vending machine without knowing. It makes your heart race, doesn't it? Here's where it gets even more fascinating. A 2002 Lincoln penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, showing sharp detail and the rarest minting anomalies, was appraised and sold for an astonishing $202,000. That's not theory. That's market reality. But let me pause and ask you this. How many pennies have you tossed aside without looking? How many chances at freedom and financial change have slipped right through your fingers? And here's the kicker. Most people never check. They assume pennies are worthless. That assumption could be the most expensive mistake of their life. So what does this mean for you right now? It means opportunity. The opportunity to step into the world of coin collecting, not as a hobby, but as a pathway to wealth. Start with your change jar, your desk drawer, that old cigar box in the attic. Look for the 2002 Lincoln penny. Check for sharp strikes, double die errors, unusual coloration, or misaligned prints. Those tiny imperfections may hold the power to change your future. And remember, the wealthy are not always born rich. Many are simply the ones who recognize value where others see nothing. This penny is proof. Picture yourself holding that rare coin, watching the numbers climb as collectors fight to own it. $202,000. Enough to erase debts, start a business, or build the life of freedom you've been dreaming of. Now let me leave you with this cliffhanger. If the 2002 penny can reach over 202,000, imagine what other coins might be hiding in plain sight, right now in your possession. Could your next coin find be the one worth 1 million? Stay tuned, because in our next video, we'll reveal even more hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket this very second. Don't miss it, because wealth isn't waiting for tomorrow. Could already be in your hands today. Imagine pulling open your kitchen drawer, reaching for some spare change, and discovering a simple brown penny. Now picture that exact penny not being worth 1 cent. Not even a few dollars, but $203,000 today, and potentially far more in the future. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the truth: ordinary-looking pennies, the kind you might have overlooked for years, could be the key to unlocking a life of financial freedom. Today we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in American coinage, the 2003 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary, but hidden in plain sight, it carries the potential to make its finder a millionaire. Stay with me until the very end, because I'm not just going to show you how valuable this coin is. I'm going to show you how to recognize it, how to avoid the biggest mistakes sellers make, and how to turn something as small as 1 cent into a wealthy lifestyle. But let's start with the story. The year is 2003. The U.S. Mint produces billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies, most stamped with mint marks from Denver or Philadelphia. They roll off the presses into circulation, into wallets, pockets, jars, and drawers. But in that vast ocean of copper-coated zinc coins, something extraordinary happened. A handful, so rare they can be counted on one hand, slipped through without a mint mark. Think about it. Out of billions of coins, only a few came out with this shocking error. It's like finding a needle not in a haystack, but in every haystack across the entire country. Now here's where things get exciting. Collectors and investors today aren't just searching for these coins. They are paying astronomical amounts for them. The highest known sale? Over $200,000. Current market value? A staggering $203,000 for a single penny. Take a second to let that sink in. What could you do with $203,000? Pay off your mortgage? Retire early? Send your kids to college without debt? And here's the kicker. These coins often go unnoticed because people assume all pennies are worthless. But the rare few who know the truth are quietly turning pocket change into wealth. Now let me pause for a moment. When was the last time you even looked closely at a penny? Most of us toss them aside, leave them in the car cup holder, or even refuse them as change. And yet, right now, those worthless little coins could be the greatest financial opportunity of your lifetime. I mean, let's be honest. How many times have you bent down to pick up a penny from the sidewalk? Most of us don't bother. But what if that penny was secretly worth more than your entire car? Suddenly that little coin on the ground doesn't look so small anymore. Does it? Opportunities like this don't last forever. Every day, coins disappear into private collections, sold at auctions, locked away in safes. The supply gets smaller and the value climbs higher. That's why waiting is the biggest mistake you could make. So what do you do now? Go through your change. Search every penny jar, wallet, and dresser drawer. Look for a 2003 Lincoln Memorial penny without a mint mark. Educate yourself. Condition matters, errors matter, and having your coin professionally graded can mean the difference between a penny that sells for a few $100s and a penny that sells for hundreds of thousands. Step 3. Act before it's too late. The market has already recognized the value of this coin. Right now, one of these rare pennies is valued at $203,000. But what happens when more collectors realize how rare they truly are? Could that price climb to $500,000? $1 million? History suggests it's possible. Urgency and inspiration now. Imagine this. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is holding a 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny without even knowing it. It could be sitting in a coffee can in their garage, in a shoebox under their bed, or jingling in their pocket as they walk down the street. The only question is, will it be you who finds it? Don't let this chance slip away. Search your coins, recognize the treasure in your hands, and take the first step toward turning 1 cent into a wealthy lifestyle. Because sometimes, the difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one is just a single penny. Imagine holding a coin in your hand so ordinary, so small, that most people would toss it into a jar without a second thought. Yet that very coin could be the key to transforming your financial destiny. Today, we're uncovering the shocking truth about a humble 2005 Memorial Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that has stunned collectors by reaching a market value of up to $205,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? That's pocket change. And yes, you might even laugh at the idea. But stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to see why some people have cashed in on life-changing money from a coin that most Americans still believe is worth just 1 cent. Here's the truth. Rare coins like this aren't just collectibles. They're secret gateways to wealth, waiting to be discovered in places you'd least expect. In your wallet, in an old coffee can, or tucked away in a family drawer. So let me ask you, what if the next penny you touch is the one worth a fortune? Let's dive into the mystery. The 2005 Lincoln Memorial penny without a mint mark is a true numismatic anomaly. Normally, pennies struck in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, but not every coin tells the same story. Errors, die varieties, and striking mistakes can make certain 2005 pennies astronomically rare and valuable. Now, here's where things get fascinating. A collector once discovered such a penny in what looked like average circulation. At first glance, it was just another coin, but under careful inspection, the subtle difference revealed its true rarity. That penny would later sell for a staggering $205,000. Take a moment to let that sink in. A single cent, enough to buy nothing today, suddenly became more valuable than most people's cars, more valuable than some people's houses. But here's the part that should excite you. Coins like this don't just sit in vaults. They're out there, in circulation, hidden in plain sight. That's why collectors, investors, and everyday people alike are hunting tirelessly for them. And here's where the fear comes in. If you don't check your old coins, if you dismiss them as worthless, you could unknowingly give away a fortune. Imagine handing over a coin at the grocery store that could have paid for your retirement. That's the real danger. Now, let me interrupt this with a quick smile. Isn't it funny how we'll spend hours scrolling online for deals that save us a few bucks, but completely ignore the possibility that treasure might already be sitting in our change jar? It's like searching for gold while standing on top of a mine. This is where your story begins. The 2005 Memorial penny with no mint mark is not just a coin. It's proof that wealth can be hidden in the most unlikely places. And those who recognize it first are the ones who get rewarded. So what do you do now? First, go through your coins. Pay close attention to your 2005 Lincoln pennies, especially those without mint marks. Look for errors, doubling, unusual details, or anything that feels out of the ordinary. Second, protect what you find. Rare coins must be verified, graded, and preserved to reach their full market value. And third, never underestimate the power of knowledge. Today you've learned a secret that most people will never know, that makes you part of a small, informed group with the chance to uncover wealth that others overlook. But let me leave you with this cliffhanger. If a single penny from 2005 can be worth $205,000, imagine what other coins are hiding in plain sight. In our next story, we'll explore another coin that has shocked experts by reaching nearly $500,000 in auction, so don't miss what's coming. Your future fortune might just be waiting in the very next coin you touch. Imagine this. You're holding a coin so ordinary, so familiar, you barely give it a second glance. A simple copper-colored penny from 2006, stamped with a little D under the year. You toss it into a jar, maybe it rolls under your car seat, maybe it sits forgotten in a kitchen drawer. But what if I told you that this very penny, a coin you've probably handled dozens of times, could be worth up to millions of dollars? And right now, the market has seen one example soar as high as $206,000. Pause for a second. $206,000. For a single cent. Let that sink in. Now here's the question that should stop you in your tracks. How many of these coins have slipped through your fingers without you ever knowing their secret? This is not just a story about money. This is a story about awareness, opportunity, and the razor-thin line between pocket change and life-changing wealth. So stay with me, because over the next few minutes, I'll reveal why the 2060 Lincoln Memorial penny is shaking the numismatic world, what specific details separate the million-dollar winners from the worthless, and how you can check your own coins before it's too late. And trust me, when I say too late, I mean it. Because once these rare examples are discovered, they're gone forever. And you'll either be the one cashing the check, or the one telling yourself you missed it. Let's start with the foundation. The 2006 Lincoln Memorial penny was struck at the Denver Mint, part of the last years before the Lincoln design would change forever. Billions were minted, which raises the obvious question. How could a coin made by the billions ever be worth millions? Here's the secret. Not all coins are created equal. Some carry rare minting errors. Some hold pristine conditions that make them nearly impossible to find after circulation. And sometimes a perfect storm happens, an ordinary year, an ordinary design, but a coin so flawless or so mistakenly struck that it becomes the holy grail for collectors. And this is where things get thrilling. Because buried in those countless jars, in old wallets, in dusty shoeboxes across America, are 2006 pennies that don't just hold sentimental value. They hold the power to transform your financial future. Now imagine this scenario. You walk into a coin shop. You lay down a penny. The dealer stares at it, adjusts his glasses, and suddenly the room feels different. Because what you thought was 1 cent, he sees as 6 figures, maybe more. Would you even know what signs to look for? This is where urgency kicks in. Collectors are snapping up the rarest 2006 pennies right now, and their value is climbing. The current record market value has already reached $206,000. And when the next perfect specimen appears at auction, who's to say it won't cross into $500,000 or more? And just so we reset your focus here, yes, we're still talking about the penny you probably brushed off your dresser this morning. Sometimes the richest opportunities hide in plain sight. So what do you do with this knowledge? First, you start looking. You dig through your old coin jars, the forgotten rolls in your safe, even the spare change in your car. Every coin has a story, and in the case of the 2006 Lincoln Memorial penny, that story could be your ticket to freedom, wealth, and security. Here's the deeper truth. We often believe wealth comes only through hard labor, through long years of sacrifice. But sometimes, wealth is waiting quietly in your own pocket, disguised as something ordinary. The real question is, will you recognize it before someone else does? And let me leave you with this thought. Right now, someone somewhere in America is holding a penny worth more than a house, more than a retirement fund, more than a lifetime of paychecks. They may not know it yet. That person could be you. So don't wait. Check your coins. Research their value. Visit trusted dealers. And remember, every rare penny that surfaces drives up the demand for the next. The window is closing. Because when the hammer falls at the next auction, when another 2006 penny sets a new record, you'll either be watching from the sidelines with regret or standing at the center of the story, holding in your hand the penny that changed your life forever. Which side of that story will you choose to live? Imagine opening your old coin jar, and inside, hidden among dozens of ordinary pennies, sits a coin that could change your entire financial future. A single penny from 2008 with no mint mark. A coin so rare that its market value today reaches an astounding $208,000. Yes, you heard that right. A penny worth more than a luxury home. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Come on. How can a penny be worth nearly $250,000? That's exactly what we're going to uncover today. And let me warn you, if you've ever tossed pennies aside, this story might just make you rethink every single one you've ever ignored. But before we dive deeper, ask yourself this. If a single penny could be worth more than years of hard work, wouldn't you want to know exactly how to spot it? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to identify this extraordinary coin and why it has collectors scrambling to pay life-changing sums for it. And let's be honest for a second. We've all said, it's just a penny. But after this, you might find yourself checking your change at the grocery store like a detective in a crime thriller. The year was 2008. The U.S. Mint was still striking the iconic Lincoln Memorial penny, a design that had been in circulation for decades. But in the chaos of mass production, an unusual error slipped through the cracks. Some pennies were struck without a mint mark, a tiny detail that, to the untrained eye, goes completely unnoticed. Here's where the story turns fascinating. Most of the 2008 pennies are worth, well, 1 cent. But the no mint mark variant stands out like a hidden gem. It's not just about rarity, it's about condition, demand, and history colliding at once. Now picture this. You've had this coin sitting in a drawer for years, collecting dust. Meanwhile, collectors across the world are competing fiercely to own it, driving prices up into the hundreds of thousands. And the current market valuation? $208,000 for a pristine example. But let's pause. Why would anyone pay that much for something as small and common as a penny? The answer lies in human psychology, scarcity and legacy. A rare coin is not just metal. It's a piece of American history, a legacy that wealthy collectors want to own, preserve, and even brag about. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Because not all no-mint mark pennies are created equal. Some are virtually worthless, while others could make you a millionaire. So what's the difference? The secret lies in the details. First, condition matters. Coins graded in mint state, flawless surfaces, no scratches, no wear, command the highest values. That's why coin grading services exist, to certify and authenticate the true worth of your find. Second, rarity isn't just about mint marks. Variations in strike, luster, and even the smallest die errors can send the value skyrocketing. The 2008 no-mint mark penny combines all these elements into one irresistible package for collectors. Now here's the urgency. Every day, coins like this are being discovered, sold, and taken off the market forever. The supply is shrinking, and demand is only growing. Which means if you have one, or even suspect you might, the time to act is right now. Imagine selling a coin for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine wiping away years of financial stress in one single transaction. That's the power of knowledge and timing. And let's face it, wouldn't it be ironic if the penny you once used to scratch off a lottery ticket was the real lottery win all along? So here's your takeaway. Don't overlook the pennies in your home. Examine every detail. And if you come across a 2008 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, handle it with care. It could be the key to unlocking wealth you never thought possible. Because here's the truth. If a 2008 penny can be worth $208,000, what about the coins sitting right now in your wallet, purse, or pocket? Stay curious, stay vigilant, and you just might uncover the next life-changing treasure hiding in plain sight.